Well, we are now on to the next session. It's quite an awaited session for this evening, and literature and films sort of go hand in hand, right? Not because there are books being made into movies or there are books being written today to have films made on them one day, but because both literature and films are a chance to live 100 lives in just one lifetime. And this is where the two, that is, books and literature, converge this evening. Now, we all know our speaker beyond an introduction, right? We know him better than what a few words could do justice to. Rang De Basanti and Bhag Milkha Bhag are just two of his most loved works. And I bring up the second one because, of course, there's a Chandigarh connection there. And this session is titled Stranger in the Mirror. But let me not take the suspense away. It's best if you hear it from our moderator, Mr. Vivek Atre, who's a former IAS officer, an author of Acclaim himself. Book, It's a Wonderful Life, having hit bookstores already. He's also a much looked up to TEDx speaker. So, ladies and gentlemen, I now bring you The Stranger in the Mirror, Rakesh Om Prakash Mehra in conversation with Mr. Vivek Atre. Welcome, sir, and over to you now.
Hello, thank you.
Thank you very much, Niharika. A warm welcome to Rakesh Om Prakash Mehra. It's a pleasure and privilege for Chandigarh Literary Society to host you. Ram, welcome.
Thank you so much, Vivek. And it's, the privilege is all mine, I must say. And to get this opportunity, to be on this platform. Chandigarh is very close to my heart. So is Punjab. And then most definitely to have an opportunity to have a conversation with you. It is absolutely amazing.
Thank you, Rakesh ji. And as you've told me, I'll call you Rom, and that reminds me of my electronics engineering days when we used to talk about ROM and RAM and stuff like that, which was totally different from Rakesh Om Prakash Mehra. But I really want to jump into the conversation. And first of all, let's talk about you as an author, and then we come to the filmmaking part, because this is new. This is something which you've accomplished this very year. And being the author of a book, I know for a fact when you have that book in your hand, it's like having another baby. And how is the feeling of being known as an author today of The Stranger in the Mirror?
It's still sinking in, to be very honest. It's happened to me organically. It's though I've been writing all my scripts and screenplays, but that's a different story. I write it with a film in mind. This was much more free flowing, much more where you yourself are the subject. So it was interesting. At the same time, quite humorous to look at yourself as a third person from the outside. Yeah, so I guess I'll know better as when I look back after a couple of years and the learnings of this journey and how it has enhanced me and what are the mistakes I've made. I think they will all reveal themselves.
I think, there's something very much in common between you and me, and that's sports and books now. Of course, films, you are streets and oceans ahead of me. I have no experience of films. But I must say that when I read in your book that you adopted a very disciplined routine from your swimming days and your water polo days, and even today you wake up at 4 a.m. and write, I mean, that is fascinating for me. So, how did that sport? And I know that you were close to playing for India and you were in the water polo team, almost played the Asiad, and swimming was your first love, perhaps, with your dad being at Claridge's. You fell in love with water. I read all that. So, how did sports help you to become an achiever in life?
I'm not the first person who will be talking about sports. So, yes, it makes you a team player. It hones your leadership skills. It, but for me, most importantly, what sports has done has given me permission to fail. Has given me, you know, uh, I can lose, and then you can bounce back. So it has told me that and taught me that it is okay to lose, it's okay to fail. And in fact, it gives you, in fact, you you are successful because you failed. You find your success in your failure. It's somewhere
Absolutely.
hidden there. Yeah.
Absolutely. In fact, that brings me, I would have brought Bhag Milkha Bhag later, but since we're on the subject of sports, and when you're trying to identify with the protagonist of a film like Bhag Milkha Bhag, and you have been at least at some level a sports person, you can probably feel that pain. And then, as you rightly said, you win some, you lose some. And we know that Milkha Singh and even PT Usha were this close to an individual medal in athletics at the Olympics. And all our lives, we've revered Mr. Milkha Singh in Chandigarh. And since we are in Chandigarh for this session, uh, we've looked up to him. So, how did you live that film at that time? Obviously, you live your work when you're making a film, you dream of it, you live it, you breathe it, otherwise, you can't be coming up with what you have. And I read Farhan Akhtar's piece in your book, and how even the last shot of that film, and how he's beaten that Pakistani athlete, and the wondrous way in which it has been filmed. So, please talk about Bhag Milkha Bhag from your heart.
I, I, I think I was blessed to tell this story. At best, I was the wire through which the electricity passed through and kind of lit the cinema halls and the subconscious of the nation at large and also worldwide. Carl Lewis saw the film and he sent his baton to Milkha sir. The baton, he won his gold medal 4 by 100-meter relay in the Olympics at Atlanta, I think. So it's a universal story. Milkha Singh's story is everybody's story. It's not just a story of an athlete. I didn't make a film because he was an athlete. I made a film because he embodied the human spirit. He embodied of uh, of working harder, and even much more to achieve your purpose, not a goal. A gold medal can be a goal or an objective, cannot be a purpose. But he was running for a purpose in life. He was running with the demons of his childhood deep down in his heart. He was running to beat them, to face them, and it was a beautiful story. I also wanted to tell a story which was around the partition of India, and it is, आपको देश मिल जाता है, वतन खो जाता है. So that was his story. And how does a kid who is 12 years old, who has no food to eat, lives in a refugee camp, has witnessed the massacre of his parents, his cousins, his brothers, sisters, the village at large, doesn't even have shoes to wear? How does he go out and does what he does? And it's much more than, for me, the record which stood for 60 years and nobody could break it in India. His achievement is much more than that. For me, the double gold medal he won at the Asian Games, breaking the records in Tokyo, much more than that. Or at the Cardiff Commonwealth Game, much more. I can get technical. I can say athletics is not an Indian sport. I can say things about we were a poor country, we didn't have facilities, he ran barefoot. That is fine. He said what you need is the spirit. And and it was wonderful. And in fact, luck by chance, I got his autobiography, but it was in Gurmukhi. So I don't know Gurmukhi, so my friend's uncle, he read it overnight and he met me and he told me the story verbatim. And I felt this is my calling. I spoke to a friend of mine and I said, you know Milkha sir, who is in the sports circle in journalism? He said, yeah. I said, can I meet him? And he called him up and he said, yeah, sure. He says, come anytime to Chandigarh. So a week later, I landed up. I had a return flight at 5:30. You know, चंडीगढ़ से 5:30 बजे आखिरी फ्लाइट 4:30-5 बजे निकल जाती है. तो सुबह पहुंचा और शाम को वापस. The first thing I remember was the warmth of Nimi auntie, and she had already spoilt me with the first meal, and I was at that time I didn't know that there are thousands more to follow. And so I started speaking to him. I started speaking about his life, and then I noticed twice he had tears in his eyes. Once when he talks about the partition, and second time when he talks about how he dropped the gold medal when he committed a technical error by looking back. He was leading the race.
Yeah.
And we all know that. I was going back to the airport. I told the car driver, just turn back, told my office to get me a hotel immediately. And they got it. And I checked into the hotel and I said, I'm not going back. वो I think sector 1921 के वहाँ जाके जहाँ खादी भंडार है आपका सेक्टर
खादी, yes.
मैंने कुर्ता पजामा खरीदा, टूथब्रश खरीदा और 7 days I didn't go back.
Achha.
And I kept going back to him to hear his story again. And every day I would say, please tell it to me again. Please say it again. And then he started trusting me and opening up, and I understood him better so that I could tell the story better. But that very first night, I wrote 2 scenes. The opening scene of the film, which was Milkha Singh enters the Rome Stadium for the 1960 Olympics. And he's the favorite and everybody's talking about him. And at the 250 mark, he looks back. His coach eggs him on to say, Puttar Bhag. And he looks back, but when he looks back, he sees the demons of his childhood. He sees a man on a black horse with a sword who had beheaded his father. And that was my film. And then I wrote the last scene. You know, the last 20 minutes of the movie has no dialogues.
Yeah.
It is just emotions. It's just the dialogue of General Ayub Khan who said, Putar, tu aaj bhaga nahi hai, उड़ गया है. आज से दुनिया तेरे को सीख नहीं, फ्लाइंग सीख के नाम से जानेगी. बस इतनी लाइन है और एक रेडियो कमेंट्री. You know? And the last scene is when he's won the race and he's going for a victory lap. This time when he looks beside him, it is his childhood which is smiling at him, which means he has come to face his demons. That was my story. And it was much bigger than any Olympic gold medal, if you really ask me.
Wonderfully said, Rakesh ji. I can see the depth in your thought process, in your thinking. I think you would make a very good novelist if you start writing novels. I can see the inspiration from Milkha Singh ji, who we also all have loved. I can say that in Punjab, there are probably 3 legends who come to mind when in any dialogue, in any conversation, in any village. One could be Dharmender ji, the other could be Dara Singh ji, and the third is certainly Milkha Singh ji. And these 3 people, you know, they will crop up any time in anything. Bada apne aap nu Milkha Singh samajhda hai. And you know that episode which my dad had told me as a child when he outran the thief as a junior police official, and you have mentioned it in your book as well. So Milkha Singh ji, I mean, we just love the fact that you made this earthy, down to earth, connecting kind of film, which brought out the human element in Milkha Singh ji. But we can go on and on about him. We have to move on to something else. But I want to seamlessly move on to instead of Rang De Basanti, first Tufan, because it's your latest film. And although it was on OTT, I think Tufan is not only a boxing film. From what I can sense from you, Rom, is that you look at life as something which is the bigger picture. And as you said in your interactions, and perhaps this is something I learned from your dialogues or what you've said on air, is that life pushes you down and then you bounce back, and then it pushes you down and you bounce back. So it becomes like a boxing match itself. So tell us about the influence of boxing and sport and bouncing back and Tufan.
I was there after doing Bhag Milka Bhag. There was always this hunger between me and Farhan to come back together, and we would throw stories at each other. And when I heard the line of Tufan, the first thing I told Farhan within 15 minutes, I said, Farhan, this story, the subject is speaking to me. Let's do this one. And I think I can have a conversation with the world at large with this film. I can speak to them. And that is why I made Tufan. And also, boxing is a sport. It's a touch sport, unlike any other sport. And it is a sport of the have-nots. You know, you'll always find boxers from the lower income group of the society. You'll find them from northeastern India, in a village from Haryana, villages from Punjab. You'll find them from the army Jawans. In worldwide, you will find them from Bronx in New York, in neighborhood areas, in Philly neighborhood areas. You'll find them from Cuba, forgotten places in Russia. It's about expression. And I met a lot of boxers who definitely life had dealt them the wrong cards. Life was not just, but this is how they express themselves. And boxing is not about hitting the other person. It is about taking the hits. You can hit another person, big deal. Anybody can do that. But there are very few people who can take the blows. And for me, that was the metaphor for this film. Also, I was getting a little, I had to say something about the intolerance going on in our country, between faiths as such. So somewhere, metaphorically, Tufan also speaks about loving each other for who you are, not necessarily hating each other for the religion you practice. So there was a lot to do there. So yes, I once again deep dived into it, and due to COVID, we could not bring the film back into the theaters as such. And it was very important for us to release it for both me and Farhan. We waited. But, I can't go on to anything else till my film releases, because I haven't shared it. It's not out of my system. So I said, come on, guys. And we were very fortunate in retrospect, because Amazon not just took it to small town and villages in India, forget about the cities. It took it to 200 countries across the world. It took it 240 only Indian film ever in the history to be advertised on Times Square for a week. Our trailer ran there. They spent millions of dollars there. And the highest watched film ever as per Amazon. So, yes, we lost the theater, but we gained the living room. Yeah.
Yeah, Rom, the paradox of not being in theaters and yet being able to reach more people. I wish there was a win-win where we could do both, and perhaps we will in the future, and that's how the future is going to be. But this brings me seamlessly to going back a little bit, and Amir Khan has written in your book, The Afterword, and it's so lovely to see that A.R. Rahman has written the foreword and Amir Khan has written the afterword. It just shows how great a personality you yourself are. Wahida Rahman ji has come up with her views. You have directed Amitabh Bachchan ji, and there's no dearth of towering figures who are in your sync. Amir Khan says Rom is a director who goes with his instinct. He may not use the word Rom in that, but that's what he means. He says that's what helps him transcend cinema. And he doesn't necessarily follow, it does obviously follow discipline, but not rules. And the second thing Amir Khan says in that is that your love for music and your visual mastery with your team is what make you a special filmmaker. So talk about this in context of Rang De Basanti, especially because that is where Amir Khan and you shone together.
Um, uh, I think my love for music comes from my mom and dad. The only thing I grew up with until I was 19 years old was a Philips radio. We didn't have a TV, we didn't have a phone, we didn't have a scooter. I think we had a cycle. Not a fridge, तो पता ही नहीं था क्या होता है, AC क्या होता है पता नहीं था. एक कमरा था, उसमें एक रेडियो था और गाने चलते रहते. So I have heard songs through my ear, and that is your source of entertainment. It started early in the morning and it went on till late night. And I imagined कि ये गाने कैसे क्या रहा होगा, मतलब इन गाना में, क्योंकि पिक्चरें तो इतनी देखने को मिलती नहीं थी. वंस इन अ वाइल किसी का जन्मदिन है तो देख ली और मना लिया वो, मतलब that was a big celebration day to go to a movie theater.
Yeah.
And in fact, forget about the channels, TV नहीं था तो क्या करें. So, but all that has worked to my advantage. It only made my imagination sharper. It only made my sense of listening to a song better. It only made me appreciate the poetry, not the dance and which hero or which heroine is dancing out there, because then the song gets lost. And basically, and yes, it does get enhanced and it gets a different experience when you see it visually. But when you talk about a song, it's a song. What do you do to a song? You listen to a song. You don't see a song. I think that's the basic thing. Amir has been very kind in the afterwards. So has been AR. So has been Mr. Bachchan. He's the funniest of all. He said, like, he fought with me for that goatee beard he'll not have for 6 months for us. And now he's stuck with it for the last 20 years and he doesn't want to get off. So
I'm interrupting you, Rakesh ji. I'm interrupting you. I read that he asked you what were you drinking when you wrote the script of Ux, and you said rum and coke, and he said, let's do it. Is that true, actually?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I don't know whether I was drinking rum and coke, but I used to drink rum and coke at that point of time. And you had access to, I'm from an Air Force school.
Yeah.
And later on, the friends around me had joined the defense services. Though I wanted to fly a plane, but I didn't have the science degree and I was not good in maths and I failed the exam of a fighter pilot. But that maybe made me make Rang De Basanti. Later on, my love for Air Force, and when I saw the pilots going down, and obviously none of us appreciate corruption. That is a no-brainer to say, I had to do something about the corruption. That would be very arrogant. It was more my love for the warriors, the airborne warriors, who were losing their life uh, because of a corruption scandal. That
Yeah.
was not on. It's you join the force and you pledge your life anyway.
Yeah.
It is the only job in the world which tells you, son, please go there and die.
Die.
Any other job would go and tell you, go there, make some food, go teach some children, go make some money, go finish a deal, go construct the building, the bridge, climb that mountain. But there ain't any other job in the world which will say, go and die, take a bullet. So it is a unique, it's very interesting. And I am in complete awe of the defense services. And that makes me so nervous to make a film on them because I don't think I'll ever be able to do justice. I'll end up doing mockery, I'll end up doing rhetoric. It's the reasons only they know. So I have to, once I'm matured enough, I'll make an attempt on a walk.
You've already reached the Sarkari retirement age, by the way, Rakesh ji. I just happened to see your date of birth, and you're just 2 years away from when an IAS officer will retire. So, and I resigned from the IAS. So I think the second innings is better than the first innings. Anyway, India always does better in the second innings. More power to your golden art, I must say. But coming to a very important point, according to me, the genres that you have dealt with and delved into are very diverse. Yet you're able to bring out that magic in all of them. And socio-political to sports biography to romance in Mirzia and Tufan. And now one day perhaps a lighter comedy. I was joking with you earlier that your name is Rom and you are from commerce, which is BCom, I guess, or rom-com. So rom-com कब बनाएंगे आप?
बहुत मुश्किल है कॉमेडी और आई एम वर्किंग ऑन वन आई प्रॉमिस आई बीन राइटिंग इट फॉर अ व्हाइल along with the co-writer but वो शुरू होती है जब मैं थोड़ा आगे बढ़ने लगता हूँ डीपर जाता हूँ तो फिर उसमें से और मीनिंग्स निकलने लगते हैं तो आई एम ट्राइंग टू होल्ड माई सेल्फ टू से यार चुपचाप एक सिंपल सी कॉमेडी नहीं बनानी आती तो प्लीज सीख ले बना ले तो आई एम ट्राइंग मोस्ट सर्टेनली इन फैक्ट in his afterward also I think Aamir has written we are waiting to make a comedy together क्योंकि हम लोग जब भी बातें करते हैं मजा तो आता है जैसे दोस्त यार मिलते हैं सारी बातें होती हैं फिर गहरी बातें होनी शुरू हो जाती हैं गंभीर हो जाते हैं तो आई थिंक कॉमेडी विल बी ग्रेट इट इज सो such a huge privilege if you can make anybody laugh. You are so privileged, you are so gifted if you can make someone laugh. And laugh in their sleep, laugh in their dreams. They should take it back. The closest comedies which have worked for me is like Padausan, it's like Pyar Kiye Ja, it's Chupke Chupke.
Chupke, I love it.
Yeah, it's like, it's telling you a lot more and it's very deep down inside. Slapstick maybe does not work for me, but slapstick the way Charlie Chaplin did, and he did The Great Dictator, while he was chewing on a shoe and nails which he had boiled because there was no food. It was so funny, but it also made a statement. Yeah.
Lovely, lovely, Rakesh ji. I totally agree with you. Please don't make too much of a slapstick kind of comedy. I don't watch them, and I'm sure many people watch them. But
I have nothing against them, Vivek ji, but I'm incapable. मेरे को आता नहीं है.
आपको नहीं आएगा. आप वो चुपके बनाइए. आप refined comedy बनाइए. बड़ी अच्छी लगेगी. But one point I want to come to, which is also based on a question by a friend who's a journalist, Nitika Sasan Bhandari. She says, the autobiography, when you write something, you write about people you love as well. And I know there's an anecdote about your wife and when you're getting married, Bharti ji. And I saw that one highlight of that was that she called out in the room, Mehra. And instead of saying Rakesh, and all the Mehras in the room obviously reacted. So how do you draw the line between being too truthful and not really bringing out all the personal details in an autobiography?
Uh, मैंने तो फर्स्ट टाइम अटेम्प्ट किया है तो पता तो आई एम श्योर आई डोंट थिंक there is any merit in being clever and hiding anything, especially if it's the the literature is autobiographical. You're not only being unfair to the reader, but you're cheating your own self. Basically, that was my starting point. So I was most lucky to and blessed to have Rita Ramamurthy Gupta, my co-author, who actually made sense of what I was telling her and who understood what I was blabbering, and that was so important. It's also a unique format because it has many narrators, like you were saying, from A.R. Rahman to Amir to Sonam to Abhishek to Farhan to Amit ji to Divya. She's one of my favorite actresses.
She's appearing on Literati tomorrow. Let me tell you, she's speaking at Literati tomorrow live in the Chandigarh guest house.
She is so sweet. When I took Bhag Milka Bhag to her after Delhi 6, and I said, Divya ji, it is a lead role, and this is, lead role in the sense the sister is the heroine of the film, which nobody believes in Bombay. Or, how can a sister be a heroine of your life? Why not? If you're like a mother can be a heroine of your life, your father can be a hero for you, your sister can be a hero figure for you. And that is what Milkha Singh's sister was. So she liked the role, and then I broke it to her that Farhan is playing Milkha Singh. She said, "Oops, I have such a huge crush on him. What are you doing?" Which was very obviously spoken in jest. Yeah, she's written that in the book also. Yeah. She's so talented. I'm so blessed to have worked with her. I can't tell.
Wonderful. Rakesh ji, we are running out of time. Unfortunately, I think you also had a deadline, and Literati is a very jam-packed event. But the quality of this conversation, I'm very humbly, I must say, cannot be higher. You're really coming up with great answers to whatever I'm throwing at you. One thing I would like to mention in the end is your message for the youth, because I know that you are someone who doesn't believe in this business of marks. And luckily for me, as a motivational speaker, I came up with a quote inadvertently. I think life is not about marks, life is about making a mark. Kuch asardar karo yaar. So what is your thought on this? What is your take?
It's it's Vivek ji, I can't tell you how much I admire what you're doing when you and what you just said, and you said it in jest, and it should not be forgotten, because you've just said a huge thing just now. It is not about the marks. Unfortunately, it's become a vicious circle today. Somewhere, and we are not able to break it. It's become like an eddy, like a whirlpool. But that is what it's. This chakravyuh we need to break. इसको भेदना ही पड़ेगा. ये जो marks का चक्कर है. There has to be a new system. We cannot pressurize our children to get marks in the exams. They should just do what they do and do it well. We have to tell them कि whatever you do, मन लगा के करो और जितना मिला उसमें खुश रहो. Life, you cannot judge. What has happened is we become judgmental. If you don't get 99%, you won't get admission. You'll have to go some backup beyond correspondence course or some college in a small city in, I know it gets separated from your family. Then you go to places like Kota to study more and more so you can get into IITs and IIM. You are not training your children to face life, to take on life. And you have gone through life. You know it was never about them. And we are committing that mistake. So, how are we going to answer to the generation? We are all answerable. How are we going to face them when they grow up and when they are 30-year-old and they look at into your eyes and say, Dad, you lied to me. You told me get 99% in maths. How could you lie to me? And so we have to ask these questions of ourselves. And these are very important questions, I think.
Rakesh ji, we are going to invite you one day and we'll go on a lecture tour of Punjab, Haryana, Himachal. हिंदी पंजाबी में लेक्चर देंगे इन बच्चों को, लेक्चर नहीं इंस्पिरेशन देंगे, बताएंगे ये नंबरों वाली बात. We'll have you here touring the place, I'm sure, whenever you're free. And really, it's been a joy to talk to you. I can see the fire, I can see the dream that you have for your own career, for India. And Jujhar Singh, a TV journalist, even sent a message that I'm sure the next Oscar award winning film will come from you, Ram. So my best wishes to you, our best wishes to you. Keep shining, keep sparkling, always.
Thank you so much, Vivek ji. It is so kind of you. And most certainly we'll go for a tour. Yeah.
Thank you. All the best.
Thank you very much.